Welcome back to Mark Haney, igniting the entrepreneurial revolution with the Haney Biz Project.
Welcome back to the Haney Biz Project, brought to you courtesy of Hub International. I'm Mark Haney, and today I am here with Lance Loveday, CEO of Closed Loop, but he is also the president of the Entrepreneurs Organization of Sacramento. How you doing, Lance?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, Mark.
Thank you, and welcome back. You've been on the show in the past. I want to break our discussion up into at least two segments. One, I want to talk about your business because it's very significant, but I'd also like to talk about EO. Let's talk about Closed Loop and the Closed Loop enterprise. What's that looking like today?
Today, I have narrowed things down, and we are the best in the world at one thing finally. Last year, this time, I was doing 4 different things, and it was a little too much.
Okay.
Now, I focused down, and we are a digital advertising agency helping medium and large companies spending 30 grand and up per month realize massive profit from advertising on Google and Facebook and Bing and other online properties.
So you have the big guys. How much of your business is here in Sacramento versus around the country?
That's a good question. Only, maybe about 10%. But we've got a couple big name clients. We've got Consolidated Communications.
Okay.
And Rabobank out of
nice.
They've got a California operation. We're working with them, and one other local, but most of it is Bay Area, high tech, that kind of stuff.
Now, in terms of focus, how did you decide to sort of narrow that focus? Because a lot of us, guys like me, I think I have like 13 companies I'm invested in, I don't know, lots of others. My focus is not so good. How do you do it?
Well, I finally realized I was spreading myself too thin, and you've built a team around yourself, and you're able to be successful doing a lot of different things. And for myself, I was biting off more than I could chew, and I realized I was doing a lot of things and none of them well.
Okay.
And I needed to focus in and become the best at something and really knock one thing out of the park before I went on to the next thing. And so it's been a real transformation over the last year to get there, but coming out the other side of it now, and God, I'm just so much more free and focused, and everyone in the organization is rowing in the same direction, and I'm energized, man.
That's great. Okay, now how do you help Consolidated Communications or Rabobank or any of these other larger entities that have the big marketing spend? What do you do? What's your role?
Well, Closed Loop, we manage those digital ad campaigns, and those digital ad campaigns are kind of powered by a complex system. I compare it to like the Matrix from the movies, right? When you've got a really complex system, some of the rules can be bent and some of them can be broken.
Yeah.
And if you really know what you're doing, you can run circles around everybody else, because these advertising campaigns are in an auction-driven environment. And
Right.
if you know how to really increase the efficiencies of those, you can, you can just do so well, and you can defy the laws of economics a little bit. And so we actually have, for all of our clients, we've managed to really increase their sales volume while maintaining and sometimes also increasing their ROI. And usually there's a trade-off between those things, but we are able to do both at the same time. And so for me, I joke around it's like I get to manage the coolest hedge fund in the world, but in a world where insider trading is totally legal. It's fun, right? So we do have a lot of fun.
Helping with that advertising spend and doing the analytics. So you mentioned ROI, return on investment. How do you measure the return on a marketing campaign?
Well, a lot of different ways, and you get to the core of what enables us to be successful is making sure we've got the right tracking systems in place and things instrumented and all these different systems tied together. Because when you can do that, for us, it's one thing to track through and see, how much are you spending to drive a lead,
Yeah.
And for a lead in a marketing sense, leads are not all created equal, right?
Right.
But the way that most people measure it, they treat it like it is, right? And they say, if I can get to $40 cost per lead, I'm happy, right?
Right.
Well, the reality is there might be some more expensive traffic you can buy over here, and you might be willing to pay $100 per lead because those leads close at a higher rate, have a higher average value or so on, right?
Right.
But you don't know that, so you've got to treat everything the same. What we try to do with our clients is stitch these systems together so we can blend that data on the back end and do these look backs and say, you know what? That traffic we thought was too expensive, it's worth it, and we should be maxing that out. And that traffic that was cheap and those cheap leads we were buying, turns out it was cheap for a reason, and we need to not be buying that. And so when you have that intelligence, you can start to outperform, and that's how you run circles around your
Do
competition.
you work backwards from the cost of acquiring the customer, acquiring the lead, or getting the eyeballs? I mean, at which point do you start? Where's the starting point?
It's a good point. I mean, so it starts with the targeting and targeting the right people to begin with, because sometimes we'll audit these campaigns and it's kind of fun and sometimes kind of funny. We'll get to show people and say, "Hey, did you know you're serving ads for people who are, say, searching on this given keyword?" And to go, "Oh, no, I didn't know that."
Yeah.
So we audited HP's campaigns years ago, and I think the statute of limitations on this is up, so I can share it. But we found out that they were advertising on the keyword digital camera, and you go, "Hey, that makes sense." They were selling digital cameras at the time, right? But because of how they were targeting that ad, they were allowing Google to match that to anything they wanted, right? And so they were showing up for some inappropriate terms, babe cams and the so on, right? And so to get up in front of the HP exec team and say, "Did you know that you wasted $40,000 last month on the term babe cam," which isn't real good for your brand, by the way, either. So you're wasting money and damaging your brand. And, it's a simple tweak to fix that. And a lot of organizations, they're letting Google and some of these other platforms spend the money for them because it's so easy to do. And we get to help them come in and empower them and say, "You know what? There's a smarter way to do this, and you just need to take more control and assert yourself a little bit, and you can really outperform if you do."
Well, the subject of today's show is going all in, knowing when to go all in. Obviously, you've refocused closed loop, and you're putting more of your chips, so to speak, in the digital marketing component with the enterprise solutions. But you brought the term all in to the Sacramento Entrepreneurs Organization. You are the president of Sacramento EO. And thinking about, switching gears to be talking about our organization, because I am a part of this, talk to us about what the Entrepreneurs Organization is all about. And why did you use the term all in to describe the way that we are as entrepreneurs?
Sure. Let me start by just defining what EO is, because it's so easy for us to just start going deep and assume everybody knows what it is, and I realize they don't. But so at a high level, what EO is, think of there being three components, right? I mean, as you know, at the most personal individual level, there is the small group forum where you get paired up with other similar entrepreneurs and with the goal of kind of making each other better, right? And learning from each other in this peer-to-peer learning environment. And that becomes your sisters and brothers in entrepreneurship, right?
Right.
Then there's the chapter as a whole, the Sacramento chapter, and we do fun things as a chapter. Last week, we went up to Reno and toured the Tesla Gigafactory,
It was fun, yeah.
That
had
was
a blast,
cool.
yeah.
And the Switch data center and...
Great learning opportunity.
Yeah, that was kind of mind-blowing stuff. And I have a cool photo of you there, by the way.
Let's keep that between us.
Yeah, well, fair enough.
What happens in Reno stays in Reno, right?
Is that the deal? Okay, yeah. You're crossing the Nevada state line. You're just...
So you got the forum, you got the chapter, and there's more.
Right. Then there's the global community that you get exposed to as well, and global events, right? So, this is a chapter, this is an organization that has 12,000 members globally in well over 100 countries, and you get to go to these global events and meet entrepreneurs from all over the world. And just by virtue of going to these events, I've had just amazing adventures with my family that I never would have had otherwise. I mean, Greece, Thailand, Germany last year, and it's pretty amazing to talk with entrepreneurs, not just in, the local region or the state of the country, but
take
around the world.
one of these trips and you're not, a family vacation is cool and you can bring your family to a lot of these, but you're doing it around other driven entrepreneurs and their families, and it's kind of a cool bonding thing to meet with people who have information that we don't have maybe necessarily at hand here in Sacramento. You get to meet those people from around the world.
Yeah, you get to do that, and then you get to make connections with them, and you get back and you introduce them to other people in your network that and it's kind of cool. I helped this snack food manufacturer in Kenya.
Huh.
That's
great.
That's awesome and fun. And, I hooked him up with another EO guy, actually. And other people have helped me similarly around the world via this network.
It's a cool organization. And, you brought all in the term. When you're trying to decide how much to bet, there are times in the game when you go all in. Why is Sacramento EO the all-in forum or the all-in chapter?
Well, some of it has to do with just how we're wired as entrepreneurs. We tend not to do things in a halfway manner, right? So, I think that's partially why I chose that theme and why that spoke to me. But also too, I thought back to my own decision path and why I joined EO, and I was kind of tentative going in. But then at some point, it kind of flipped for me, and I said, you know what, I'm gonna commit to this fully and see what happens. And so I took a little list this morning of the different outcomes that I've had from EO, and I was running through it. And I was thinking, wow, that's a bet that's paid off. So, the goal of EO, as I said, is trying to make each other better and surround yourself with amazing people. And I am a believer that you become the average of the 5 or so people you hang out most with.
Yeah.
And I love that my EO people are the people that I want to be most like. And so I get that access. But from a business perspective, what EO has done for me, I've rebooted my whole business, as I said, in the last year on EOS, the Entrepreneurial Operating System. I've saved over $100,000 on taxes as a direct result of advice I got from my EO brothers and sisters and our sponsors. More so on a personal level, I'm living more in alignment with my values. As Paul was talking about, I've revamped my personal finances completely. I've traveled the world and had these amazing adventures with my family in amazing places. I've improved my outlook, and I'm aiming higher and thinking bigger. And I've improved my habits daily, my eating, exercise, my daily rituals and discipline. I'm just doing things at a much higher level. I know you're a pretty famous early riser yourself.
Well, I like to get up early and go all in now and then.
Yeah. And, I've got these people that I'm accountable to. I don't want to show up next month at Forum and have the same problems I had last month. I want to report back and show that I've made some progress, right?
Well, I'm going to have to cut you off there. We're going to bring Paul back on after the break, and we're going to talk a little bit more about what it means to go all in. This is an entrepreneurial radio show, and we're helping the next guy in line. We've done some things that have been very fun, and now it's how do we share that information with the rest of the entrepreneurs, the people who want to be business owners right here in Sacramento. When we return, we'll bring back Paul Porter and Lance Loveday. Join the revolution at HaneyBiz.com, courtesy of the Entrepreneurs Organization of Sacramento and law firm Greenberg Traurig. This is the Haney Biz Project.